Hello, welcome back, comrades. And I'll be sharing now lessons from Exodus 10 to 12, where we still see Moses in the land of Egypt trying to get Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. God sends Moses back to Pharaoh, reminding him that he'd made them stubborn, that's Pharaoh and his officials, to display his miraculous signs amongst them. And so the Israelites can tell their generations how the Lord made a mockery of the Egyptians by the signs and wonders, so that they'll know that God is God. So remember that this generation of Israelites didn't really know God. All they probably had were stories or memories that their parents or their ancestors had given them regarding God. And then God sent the plague of the locusts. At this point, Pharaoh's officials had it with him, and they were asking him to let the Israelites go from the land of Egypt, because obviously you saw that the magicians had stopped being able to replicate the plagues, and there was nothing that they could do at this point. He seemed to relent, that's Pharaoh, and agreed to let only the men go and worship God in the wilderness. Of course, that wasn't the plan. So obviously God didn't relent and he sent the locusts. And I was wondering why Pharaoh even kept bargaining. Obviously, it probably had to do with his heart being hardened. And then the same cycle happened again. Pharaoh got terrified of the havoc wreaked by the plagues and summons Moses and appears to relent after the plague is stopped and then reverts to the status quo. And this is what happens with the plague of hail that follows. And after the locust came a plague of darkness, and then the death of the Egyptians' firstborn, at which point Pharaoh finally agrees to let the Israelites go. Through the later plagues, God had put a demarcation on Goshen and spared his people from them. For the last one, which was the death of the firstborns of Egypt, God ordered them to observe Passover and put the blood of the animals on their doorposts as a sign. Previously, he didn't need a sign to differentiate them, but this time he said, "When I see the blood, I shall pass over you." This was symbolic and a foreshadowing of the new covenant of Jesus in the New Testament. When the Israelites were leaving, the Lord caused the Egyptians to be favorable to them, and they asked for their treasure and received them. So they left the land rich with the Egyptian stuff. Over 6,000 Israelites, excluding women and children, left the land of Egypt. And we also understand that even some Egyptians and some foreigners went with them. I can imagine being one of those Egyptians, be like, man, this Egypt, yeah, you guys don't have it going on. I'm going with these people who have a strong God. So I thought that was really interesting. Let's get to the hashtag getting to know God moment. There's been quite a few activities and events so far that point towards God foreshadowing things to come. For example, the blood and also the cross. So from what I understood, putting the blood on the lentils and the doorposts showed the sign of a cross. And a cross with blood was foreshadowing the cross of Calvary and the blood that Jesus was going to shed. It gets deeper than that. But then I guess we'll come to know how it all comes together. Remember, I always say that the Old Testament is a foreshadowing of the New Testament. So we'll definitely see how these things link up, God willing. God had initiated the plan for salvation of mankind from the beginning. And as we have seen so far, his promise to his chosen one, Abraham, unfolds right before our very eyes. We know that Jesus has become for us our mediator, who came to fulfill the plan of salvation, and through him our relationship with God has been restored. The Holy Spirit sustains and fulfills his work in us. And all of these things, God the Trinity did all of this, and all he did was to reunite us to himself. Sorry, sometimes I can't read my own handwriting. But I hope this is clear. My getting to know God moment in a nutshell is about seeing how the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, have come together to ensure that God's promises and his plans come to pass. And I think that that is amazing. Thank you for joining me today. Tomorrow, we'll be sharing lessons from Exodus 13 to 15, and I look forward to seeing you there. Bye, and have a lovely evening.